Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the 2025 Jeep Wrangler. This is a Willys 41 4xe. It is finished off in 41 and the MSRP is just over $73,000. Now this is powered by the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo. This is also a plug-in hybrid, so it's paired with the 17.3 kilowatt lithium ion battery. It's also paired to the 8-speed automatic, and combined it pumps out 375 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. It is primarily rear-wheel drive, however it has the 4-wheel drive system. Weighs in just shy of 5,200 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. Top speed is 112 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 17.2 gallons. You'll expect to see 20 miles per gallon combined between city and highway, and then a total range of 21 miles on just the EV system alone. This also has a wheelbase of 118.4 inches. Its overall length is 188.4. It has a width of 73.9, a height of 73.5, and its ground clearance measures in at 10.8 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling for this model, the 41 is a package for this. So that's almost $9,000 for that added package. And up front, you'll notice the traditional grille from Jeep finished off in gloss black, where there's also gloss black trim accents for the surround for the LEDs. You'll notice that the DRLs and turn signals are on the fender flares, and then there's the headlights and high beams within that housing there, along with an LED circle around the exterior. Now this also has a steel front bumper where there's fog lights too. With this bumper too, you can also remove these end caps if you want a little bit better of an approach angle, but it is a pretty short front bumper to begin with, so you can just get a little bit more. There's also a skid plate up underneath, finished in steel too. And as you can tell, you can see a lot of that tire already. Now working our way to the side, very large set of fender flares, both front and rear. There's the color matched 17-inch wheels for this particular model with an all-terrain tire. You'll notice rock sliders are installed on this model too. And then with the Jeep, you can remove the doors. So you have these two bolts on the outside, along with your wiring harness on the interior that you need to remove, and then you can take all of the doors off, which is very nice. Now this particular model does have the hardtop. It also has the sky roof option. So with one push of a button, you can pretty much take the whole roof off and have it folded up in the back. I think that is the best option to go with for the Wrangler. Now in back, there's LEDs for the lighting, the full-size spare mounted on the back, along with the backup camera right in the middle. There's also a steel rear bumper with all of the parking sensors. This can tow right around 3,500 pounds with the installed factory hitch. And then there's also that high clearance exhaust on the passenger side. Now you can remote start this, so just double tap this button. And you're not really going to hear it. It will start up in the hybrid setting there, and then you can hold this button to shut it off as needed. Now from here, you do have a proximity door handle, so you can grab this to lock and unlock the back. And once you swing open that portion, very light even with that full-size spare, then you can open up the glass and gain access to your cargo space. Now this model does have the carrying case. I believe this is for the hardtop if you don't opt for that roof there. So you can have that as needed. And then there's also storage underneath, where this model, being the 4xe, has the charging cables that you can store under there, along with the bolts for the windshield, the roof, and the doors. You can fold the windshield down on the Wranglers as well, which is pretty neat. Now there's a 12-volt back here. Obviously you can fold down the back seats if you need a little bit more space, but you have a pretty large opening to place in some items. There's also the sub for the audio too. And then you can easily close this up. And then as we work our way to the interior, for your backseat passengers, the door panels are pretty simple, being that you can remove them, of course. So you have a storage net down below. You can also use the underside of this grab handle to lift the door on and off, which is nice. And then grab handle on the top to close the door. Now in back, we have a very nice tan interior here. And then when you pull on this release, you can fold that headrest down and then fold the seat down as well. It doesn't go all the way flat, but it gives you enough to put in some items. Now you do have grab handles in the back, and then at my height, 5'10", I have a good bit of space. You'll notice there's some storage pockets, you have vents. Here are the window controls, and then there's a little bit more storage down below. And at my height, obviously with the roof open, I have a good bit, but you have about 4 inches or so at 5'10" here. So you can sit upright and still have plenty of space above you. Now right in the middle, there's also the armrest and cup holders as well. And then you can also remove those cargo windows. So you'll notice these latches right here, you have one on each top there, and then you can pull this outwards and remove that. So with this roof option, you basically can remove everything without removing the entire roof, which is very helpful, easy to place. Those panels could even fit in that bag located in the back. Now on the driver's side, this is how you plug it in. So you have that nicely integrated in that section there. And then as we work our way to the front doors, you do have lock and unlock, your mirror adjustments, and then some more storage in that lower section. And then this model also has manually adjusting seats. So you have the tab for recline and incline, a height adjustment, and then you can move it forwards and backwards. Now as we hop in, we're greeted with a solid leather steering wheel. And then let's start this up, where this model does have some controls on the backside. So there's volume and tuning adjustments. There's also cruise control with distance pacing. And then on the left side, you can go through quite a lot with the gauge cluster. Now you'll notice on the far left, there's the tach and engine temperature. On the right, there's fuel and your miles per hour, along with a charging meter. And if we scroll through this information, you have 10 different settings that you can go through. So just depending on the information that you would like to see, you can quickly go through all of this and bring it up full screen here. You can also go into your setup and configure how you would like to view all of this information. So very helpful to have. Now on this left side, there's all the headlight adjustments along with a dimmer switch. And then there's a fuel cap release in the 3 different driving modes. You have hybrid, which combines the engine and the hybrid system. You have full electric, and then you have e-save. So it's just going to use the gas engine and you are going to save on your battery there. There's a really neat trim accent surrounding one air vent, where there's also a little bit of storage up top on the dash there. And then take a look at the large infotainment system, where you have a lot to go through. So you can go into these apps here. There's also vehicle. So you can look at your camera, you can get into your dashboard for the off-roading pages. So you have a lot of different vitals here that you can monitor as needed. You can also go back into your e-hybrid, so you can monitor all of this information here, and then there's different settings that you can monitor. You can get into your phone. There's also all the climate adjustments that you can get into. You have your media and then the home screen with a split view. You can also swipe over and add some widgets depending on what you'd like to see. Now in the upper section, you'll notice this is all fixed, so I can quickly get into the heated seats, heated steering wheel, and temperature, and then you have the same for your passenger. You can also pull down any notifications that you may have. Now underneath that, there's all the climates. You do have physical controls for the seats and steering wheel, fan speeds right in the middle, there's temperature dials as well, and then volume and tuning. Underneath that, there's mute for the audio. There's also regenerative braking. So of course this model does have regen braking, and you can turn that on for maximum regen. This will also help in aiding with one pedal driving, which I will talk about here later, or of course you can turn that off. There's traction control, parking sensors, a downhill assist, and you can shut that screen off if you would like to. Now underneath that, there's all the window controls along with a few auxiliaries, and then there's 4 auxiliary switches over on that passenger side. So if you want to hook up a winch, exterior lighting, you have a factory location to do that. You'll notice too, this does have a rear locker. There's also an off-road plus control that you can use. You do have to be in 4 low to do that. In order to get into 4 low, you have that shifter located right here, so you can go through all of those. And then on the right side with 41 on the top, this is your normal gear selector. So you can go into reverse, of course, and then you have drive, and you can shift using the shifter itself. Now there's a manual e-brake behind that. You have cup holder storage. You can place your phone right in the middle too. And then you have 2 different areas where you can store items in the center with an auxiliary in that second one. You also have a locking glove box, grab handle for your passenger, more of that neat trim accent. And then there's the rear view mirror, and then you have garage door buttons up top and the control for that top. And then here's a look at visibility, where you have so much glass, everything is squared off and pretty large, so you can easily see over both shoulders. As we set up behind the wheel now for the Jeep Wrangler 4xe, this is the second one I've been able to check out. I also used to own a Jeep Wrangler. It was just a basic, normal engine. I don't think the hybrid was available or even came out at the time of me owning my Wrangler, but I owned that for a short period of time, and it was a really cool vehicle to check out. Now with the Wrangler, this is a very iconic SUV from Jeep, and it's one that a lot of people like to off-road. With the solid front and rear axle, this is something that is going to get a lot of articulation off the pavement. And we were able to take a 4xe off-road. So if you want to see how well this hybrid system does in the dirt, take a look at that separate full video where we had a lot of fun with it. With this hybrid system, or being a plug-in hybrid, I own a plug-in hybrid X5, so I'm very familiar with this technology and how it works. This is a pretty neat system in the fact that, let's say you're off-road, like we were in the 4xe, you don't necessarily have to take extra fuel with you. If you're doing some long trips, we got the Jeep Wave, no, not there, okay. You could save up on the EV system, just put it in the e-save, do your whole off-roading trip. Let's say maybe you're running low on fuel, swap it over to EV, and then you can easily get back to a fuel or a gas station as long as you're within those 21 miles. So it's pretty neat if you want to view it from that aspect instead of having to lug around extra fuel. You know, pros and cons to both, just depending on what you like to do. But I just thought about that earlier today. You have some added benefits like that. But with the Wrangler in general, this is something that is going to be a little bit loud. There's going to be some wind noise. Just because you can take all the panels off, this isn't trying to be a luxury focused vehicle necessarily. We do have some options that would be nice to see, like power seats and things like that. But this is really for that fun factor, driving the Jeep around, being able to take everything off of it and have that open top experience. Now, the Wrangler that I had the 3-piece hardtop. So all you could do was remove the 2 panels up top, and then from here back, the whole entire panel had to come off as 1 piece. I only did that once for a video just to show how it came off, but I think this is a lot more beneficial, especially since maybe you don't have a garage or you have limited garage space. You can do this on the fly. It doesn't matter what speed you are going. You can easily take the doors off, of course, which you will have to store somewhere, but then you also have those panels in the back that you can take off. So you don't have to remove the whole roof to get this open top experience, and I think that is much nicer and much easier to do. So if you can fork up the money for this option, it is a bit expensive. I think it's well worth it in the end, because as you just saw, all I had to do was push with my finger there and we're good to go. So really cool option, especially since you can take the back cargo windows out too. But aside from that, just driving it, it's nice. To me, it's a little bit more of a city type vehicle. You can drive these on the highway. People do it all the time. Go on long road trips if you're heading to the beach or something like that. It's just not quite as refined feeling as some other vehicles in this price point. But if you look at some of the other vehicles in this price point, there's no real competitors aside from the Bronco. But if you're looking for more luxury focused refinements, you're not going to find it with this Wrangler. You're going to have more of that fun factor. So I'm not trying to knock it by any means. Since I owned one, I think it's a really cool SUV with what it has to offer, and this is what it has to offer. So if you're looking for that fun factor and that Jeep Wrangler life, the Jeep life, it's a really good vehicle. Now, as far as it being an SUV, it is pretty practical. It has a shorter cargo space in the back, but it's still doable to put in items. You can fold the seats down. You can hook up small trailers to it, so it does have some of those utility characteristics to it. And then I have it in the hybrid setting. We're going to drop to second gear. Here we go. Pedal to the floor. You know, it's not slow. You know, for 5 seconds, 0 to 60 time, I didn't test that, but this can definitely get up and move in that hybrid setting, especially for its curb weight, right around 5,200 pounds. Well, this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the Wrangler. So what I want to talk about now is the different driving modes. So we can go into electric now, where it still looks like you can shift, but if you hear it, it looks like the engine did kick in as I got on the throttle a little harder. But in the electric setting here, you will see the charge meter too on that right side. And we can just kind of coast in electric. Now, I don't have a lot on the electric percentage, so let's put it into EV now, where we will just have the engine. So the battery is not going to provide us with any power. So significantly slower here, getting up to speed. So it just depends on the driving that you're doing for the day, which mode you would like to be in, and it just provides you with different ways of doing that. So it's pretty neat, depending on, maybe you're cruising at the beach, you just want to be in the EV setting, certain situations like that. And like I mentioned earlier, even off-roading, you could have it in the EV setting, which we were able to test. This also has a very tight turning radius. It's a perfect vehicle for off the road, but parking lot situations and things like that, it's also very beneficial. Now this also has the regenerative braking. So when you turn that on and let your foot off the accelerator, I wouldn't say this is a one pedal driving system like you would see in a full EV, but it is bringing us to a slow speed. I don't think it's going to completely stop the vehicle. So we're just going to roll a little bit there, but it is going to help in braking a little bit harder to help charge the battery. So if you are low, you can use that to help charge as needed. And obviously you can plug this in at home. With my plug-in hybrid X5, I just use a normal 3-prong outlet. Because it doesn't have a huge range, my vehicle's around 32 miles on just the EV system. It can charge overnight. So unlike a full EV, I don't need to invest in quicker charging systems because it can charge very quickly overnight. So 8, 9, maybe 10 hours, depending on, you know, the charging of it. But that's something that you don't have to upgrade to since it's not a full EV. But definitely a very cool SUV to drive. It was unlike any other vehicle offered until Ford came out with their Bronco. So we do have a competitor. I will be making a comparison video with this and a Bronco. So stay tuned for that if you would like to see some of the similarities and the differences with this SUV. But that is going to wrap it up for the Jeep Wrangler 4xe. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.